Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I pray this particular message and or Zoom, whether you're live or watching it and replay, that you are in such a great space and Spirit has shone down upon you because you are here for a reason. And myself, you're being your host, and my co-host, Dr. Velvet, are here today to bring you some great information to help regain your knowledge and to reclaim the truth of who you are. So with that, I am, as I just said, Wendy Morgan. This is the personal development course right now. And I'm hailing from Santa Barbara, California. Now, if you are catching this on replay or if you're watching us for the first time, we already had one class last week. And this is kind of a continuation of that class. We will be recapping it, but if you do need to watch that replay, please reach out to me. I'll make sure of those of you that don't have my number, it's in the chat. 805-609-7865 is my number. You're welcome to throw me a text. The replays are going to be by donation. So just, and that's going to be through Venmo. And the last page, you'll see my Venmo information. But anyways, today, though, you are watching it as a gift for myself and Dr. Velvet for free. And also the replay will be available to you for about 24 hours, up until about 3 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow. And then it will go into the archives. And if you would like to have it for your library, then again, a small donation and it's yours. So that being said, let me please introduce my wonderful, beautiful co-host, Dr. Velvet. Velvet, you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Velvet, as Wendy said. I'm a metaphysician, so this is right up my alley. And when Wendy and I got together, I was so super stoked that we were going to be providing this information because this is very timely. So everything that you're learning in this course and the continued weeks, please apply it because we need it more now than ever. So you guys are in for a real treat, and I look forward to sharing our wisdom with you. Thanks, Wendy.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So let me go to my share screen here. Okay, there we go. All right. So as we stated earlier, today we, with our particular course, Regain Your Knowledge, Regain Your Power courses, and with myself and Velvet. So what our primary purpose of this series is to focus on deprogramming and reprogramming money. Most of us are not just rolling in the dough, and probably you have tried so many different things. You've tried manifestations, you've tried, making sure all the boxes were checked as far as, how much you bring in, how much you bring out, budgeting, maybe investing, and it just still doesn't seem to work out. Or maybe you are doing okay and you're like, but I can feel there's a little hiccup there. So this is what this program is all about. Now, just to be clear, it's not about money, right? We don't want to really, it's just like if I had an ulcer in my stomach, it's not about the ulcer, right? It's about why did certain conditions appear in my body that ulcer basically started to form. And that's what we're going to do. We want to get down to the underlying aspects of why, are we having issues about money, or it could be why we're having issues about relationships, or, having a wonderful home, or. And it all comes down to that bottom underlying programming which we're going to be focused on and clearing out today. So, what you're learning from last week and this week, this is continuous. It's not something, okay, I'm going to do for 5 minutes and all right, I'm done for the week. No, it's just like meditating, just like prayer. It's just like eating and drinking water. You do it all the time. The more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get with it, the more you're going to trust your inner voice. So we're working on clearing out limiting beliefs, programs, and today, emotional triggers we're going to introduce you to. So here is our outline. So one, we're going to go right through the recapping last week's model in case you're like, oh my gosh, Wendy, I'm really sorry. I didn't really have time to go ahead and practice my muscle testing. No worries. We understand. We've been where you are. We are where you are. So we're going to kind of recap a little bit, and Velvet's going to go in a little bit deeper level so you can really get the juice out of that. So we're also going to talk about the importance of diagnostic testing. So muscle testing is a diagnostic tool. We're also going to recap and practice muscle testing in real time with Velvet. Then we're going to open it to Q&A. And guys, I really want you to think about the questions that you've had for this past week. Jot them down. If you think like me, you're going to forget after listening to everybody else. Jot them down now, get a pen and pencil, get all ready to go. And please, any question is a very intelligent and wonderful and welcoming question. There's no not so, simple questions out there. Every question is a fantastic question, because if you're thinking it, I can guarantee you somebody else is thinking it too. So please use your voice or tap it in the chat if you feel shy. And then we're going to go into other forms of diagnostic testing or tools, such as dowsing pendulum and being aware of emotional triggers. Those three are also a diagnostic tool. And then maybe we'll go into the peak of I'm Agape. So right there, we're going to kind of put a pause into after emotional triggers and I'm Agape. We are really dedicated to try to keep this to just an hour. So if we are near that hour at that point, then we're going to stop and we'll continue on with the peak of the I'm Agape next week. And then we're going to definitely hit the bonus discussion for today. So here is the importance of learning and using diagnostic tools. And Velvet, not that I ever doubted her, but she always is so in tune that she sends me these things and it's like, oh, brilliant, man, you're a genius. And she sent this particular video to me, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. And I thought, this has to be on here. This video is going to show you just how important diagnostic tools are, not just for what blocks or programs I have about money, but about anything that you're interested in inquiring and learning more about anything. So we're going to watch this. And then Velvet, if you would take it into the nitty gritty as far as, what are the possibilities for using a diagnostic tool?
Sure.
So with that, let's go ahead and press play.
Her feet are even right there where they touch. See that? Everybody see that? Okay, now, they're just resting in the palm of my hand. If I move and jiggle her feet and turn them out, they come back even. So I'm going to ask her unconscious mind if I have contact, and if I've got contact, to give me a signal by shortening one leg, okay? So do I have contact? And look at that. Can you see that? Now, they're just resting. I'm not even touching her feet, and look at that. I just gently pick them up, and it goes, look how far it goes. Now, if I ask the body to give me a neutral indication, it comes right back to normal. See that? And I ask the body, can we find out what the primary cause of her headaches are? See it shorten? Look at that. This is the short leg. I pull on the short leg. Look where it's short. They're just resting on my fingers, and I allow the body to come back to normal. And see it coming back to normal? Look at that. So the body's willing to cooperate. So let's ask, is it coming from vitamin mineral deficiency? And you can see, what does it say? It says no. Is it coming from toxicity? What does it say? Is it coming from structural misalignment? What does it say? Okay. Now, it didn't shorten quite as much, but it's indicating there's a structural misalignment there. But let's ask, what's causing that structural misalignment? And is it coming from an unresolved emotional issue? What does it say? Look at that. Look at that foot short. It goes all the way up there. It's like it's shouting. That what happens is that her unconscious mind has created the muscle tension and the muscle contraction that has pulled the vertebrae out. And we're going to find out what vertebrae, and that's creating her migraine headaches. Okay, so let's ask her body. Her body knows what vertebrae is out. I don't. I'm not a chiropractor, but I think we've got a chiropractor here, don't we? So let's ask her body. Is it coming from her lower back? What does it say? Is it coming from her mid-back? No. Is it coming from her neck? What does it say? All right. What vertebrae is it? Is it C1? What does it say? Look at this. It's like her muscles are just turning in. It's just constricting when I ask that question. Is it coming from C1? First cervical vertebrae, the atlas, is causing her migraine headaches. Is it coming from C2? What does it say? Coming C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, C1. Look at that. Shortens right back up. Okay, now we want to find out, why is that vertebrae under so much stress? What's causing that vertebrae to be out? And we know that it's an unresolved emotional issue. Is that a true statement? It says yes. All right, let's find out, what is the emotion here that we're dealing with? Is it around hostility? No, it's not. Is it around fear of loss? What does it say? Is it around grief and guilt? What does it say? No, it's around fear of loss. So let's find the subheading. Under that is a list of subheadings, and I'm going to grab that chart right here, and I'm going to ask, is it subheading 1, subheading 2, subheading 3, subheading 4, subheading 5? It shortens on subheading 5. Subheading 5 under fear of loss is threatened. Disappointment and threatened. Is that a true statement? Look at a foot short. Look at it actually turn in. It's shouting, it's saying yes. Now we want to find out how stressful is this unresolved emotion that she's holding on to on an imaginary scale from 0 to 100. Okay, 100 being really stressed out. So is it greater than 80%? What does it say? Okay, is it greater than 90%? What does it say? Is it greater than 95%? What does it say? Now, I'm going to get the exact number. You tell me when the exact number comes up. Is it 95? Is it 96? Is it 97? Is it 98? 98. That's pretty stressful. No wonder she's got migraine headaches. How long have you had this? Teenager, okay. So let's ask her body, okay, take us back to the age of cause where this was actually planted like a seed. And we'll find out what perception. See, she created and formed a perception in her mind that is no longer makes sense to run it now because she's an adult. Okay, so current age is what? 48. Okay. Can we go back to age of cause? We can. Is it 48, 38? Is it 38, 28? Is it 28, 18? What does it say? Is it 18? Is it 19? 19 shows up. Okay. Is this involving parents? Those involving friends? Is involving spouse or boyfriend? Look at that. What was going on when you were 19? Just, we don't need the details per se because it's not about content. Now, I want you to understand, this is not about talking about it and burying all your wounded self. This is about energy. But what I want to do is make sure that we're locked in on what was going on. So were you involved in a relationship, getting out of a relationship, or, okay, was it stressful? Okay. I'm sorry. All right, so what's his name? Let's ask her body, is this involving Jeff? Is this involving Jeff? Look at her foot. She has not resolved that. She has not resolved it. And that's why her body is creating the migraine headaches, because it's in pain. So we're going to resolve it. Would you like to resolve it? Okay, Louise, hey, you can heal your life. She healed her life because she released an unresolved emotional issue. She's got a whole book. She's got whole seminars teaching how to love and releasing negative emotions. Well, I found that there's a combination of things. Is that if the body is under stress, and it's all stress, vitamin mineral deficiency creates stress, toxicity creates stress, structural misalignment creates stress, unresolved emotional issues create stress, and there's your common denominator. If anybody ever asks you what causes cancer, you can tell them. And the cause of cancer is the compromised immune system. What I've discovered is that the unconscious is like that little child. And if you look at it from this perspective.
Okay. So Velvet, if you could, so there's a few things that kind of came to my mind when watching this. And I know you've got your own thoughts too, is, I'm sure everybody's asking, wait a minute, he referred to a list. So if you could kind of tap on that. Secondly, want to point out, bringing out, finding what percentage, do we need to find out the percentage or the age of origin? And then I'll mention the other two later.
So in emotion code, if you're familiar with emotion code, they will have the categories. They'll
Sorry.
have those.
Right
Oh,
there.
that's okay. They'll have those lists. So that's basically, you can create, if you want to, we can stop share if that's easier for you. I don't,
Yeah, you could go
whatever
for
you
it.
want to do. Yeah. So if we look at the emotion code, for those of you that are familiar with it, they break down particular categories. They're doing muscle tests into, is it this block on the body? Is it this block in the emotion? But you can literally create whatever list you want to create to get down that's specific for you and how you want to help individuals. So you don't really have to follow somebody else's protocol when it comes to how they're finding these things out. So if you're specializing in physical pain, as he did, he was able to break it down into his categories because it helps them to define how are we going to find the connection. That's all you're doing, so that you're not on some kind of wild rabbit goose chase. All right. So it can break it down. Create your own list. But if you don't want to, emotional code. And then the other question that you had was,
How important is it to find the percentage of the charge of what you're trying to clear? And is important to find sometimes the age of origin?
yeah, so the age of origin is really clear because it's a pathway, just as the percentage is. So it allows us to identify how big the block is. Because typically, if it's not a big block, but they're having that kind of pain, we'll find that there is another area, there is another point of origin that is disruptive. So a lot of people, their subconscious mind will protect them, and they'll give you a little teaser. Yeah, like it was because my boyfriend died when I was 19. But if that had only been 2%, we automatically know, wait a minute, it's only 2%. She really shouldn't be that bothered by it, but we'll clear that out. And then typically there's something bigger that they'll find, right? So the percentage is important so that you know that you're really getting the block. So 98 was pretty large, right? So they got that block. And then the point of origin of the age allows you to consciously, subconsciously bring up what might have happened during that time. Just like he said, what happened at 19 that was, stressful in your life? And she said that her boyfriend was killed in a car wreck, right? So that was the connection. So when you're looking at where this may derive, it allows you to kind of go through your data bank, and your subconscious mind is going to bring it up. And you can even ask, just like he did, right? The other thing that I wanted to make sure that we are aware of too, because we're talking about wearing patches on certain parts of our body. And many of you may know that people go through healing crisis when they start wearing the patches. This is because energy is being released. And a lot of times they've not done anything to deal with blockages or memories that are disrupting an energy flow. So that's why we have to kind of be gentle with them. But this is why it's also a great tool that you guys have this information, because now you can ask their body, what's going on? Where is that block? How big of a block is it? What do I need to change instead? You can even muscle test. Would the Eon patch be better than an X39 patch? Okay, so that's going to be very, very helpful for you as you continue to help other people.
Yes, excellent. And guys, also, if you paid attention where he said, what happened at 19, and he says, wait a minute, I don't want you to go ahead and start drumming up the story. We're not here. We're not sitting in the counselor's or the psychologist's office to tell our so sad, sobbing story. That gets the mind, and it triggers so much in your body. And it's almost like it turns into a huge snowball, right? Don't get involved with the story. Just stick with the simplicity of what you're clearing and follow those emotions or those thoughts or those memory, and just keep following it. Don't get stuck in one moment in that story.
Yeah, because the story is the glue, and it's what will keep it empowered. So absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up, Wendy. That's great.
Yeah. All right. So let me find where we left off. Come on. There we go. All right. So now we're going to go in recapping of last week. So in order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. And with my clients, and I'm sure same thing with you, Velvet, that a lot of times, you know, when we do dive in deep to past memories from our childhood, you know, some of my clients have been sexually abused and they're like, no, I hate that part. I just don't want anything to go there. It's like, you've got to love it because that made you who you are today. And every single one of you are so beautiful. And each and every one of you have something and to bring to this world. And you've already touched thousands of lives. So love and your experiences. So with that, let's recap, Velvet.
You know, regarding loving who you are, I just want to touch on this because many of you don't know that early on I was homeless. And every single day, I am thankful that I had that experience because that experience allowed a huge awakening within me. And it truly helped me to be the success that I am today. A lot of people think, well, golly, how can you be successful? You were homeless. No, it teaches you a lot. So really embrace no matter what it is and find the good that comes out of it. So focusing, thinking, resisting on any belief will bring it into fruition or have it flourish. All beliefs started as an experience, if impactful, repeats over and over, creating a program. Now, what I just said about being hopeless, when I think about it, when it comes up, there is no resistance to me on it. And it's bringing in the good. I have appreciation for it. I have gratitude for it. But if we begin to focus on it of like how it's bad for us and think about all the negative in it, and we're doing it unconsciously as well, that's where you're going to start seeing the created program. And remember last week, it was last week, we were talking about the created program is the effect that you see out in your reality. Are you hitting every stop sign? Do you get in wrecks? Are you losing money? Those are all conditions. They're all effects of a program that's running in the background. All right. So, Wendy.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we stated last week, guys, you know, creating anything, you know, creating your, clearing the runway from attracting money, clearing the runway so you're not getting in accidents any longer, clearing the runway so you're no longer attracting bad relationships, you know, that this is what we're the tools that we're giving you and teaching you throughout this course. It is not a magic wand, right? It is not going to come here and you're going to watch it one time like, oh, I'm filled. No, because why? Your spirit, your soul, your energy, your being needs to know that you know you're worth it. You're worth investing your time in you to create a different outcome. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. You're not going to get it. You have to do different things to get different results. And hence, that's what we're doing is we're trying to teach you different things to do.
Mm-hmm. And to sprinkle that fairy dust, right? Sprinkle everybody with that fairy dust. So to release these programs, we must first acknowledge them. A lot of that comes from us being aware of our thoughts and then what's not working for us. And if you don't know, then you're going to muscle test, right? Because you can find out what programs are running in the background by just simply asking your body. Our body's an amazing tool. So serving your, I can't see that. I think it's reserving. Let me go look and see what we're doing here.
Observing your thoughts.
Yeah, your thoughts and feelings. So what thoughts are on repeat when it comes to finances? But I want you to ask even a deeper question too, if you're ready for it, right? If you just want to stick on the surface with your finances, that's fine. But what's on repeat when it comes to value? How people value you, how you value yourself. What is your worth? Because basically you're going to receive that back. So a lot of our financial concerns is that we don't see the value or the worth of ourselves. So what are you feeling when it comes to your current financial experience allows you that depth that you need? And what was spoken to you when you were young about money? And this is where it was really cool that we had that video, right, Wendy? Because he was able to go back. And so that's why that's important here too, is now you can say, oh, when I was 5 years old, you know, my mom told me that money was evil and I don't want to be evil, So it can be things like that.
So everybody, you want to go ahead and make sure that not only, yes, are you acknowledging what's not working for you, right? Because that's what we're trying to clear out, those blockades, that are not allowing that energy to flow through us, have the new energy flow through us. So therefore, we're having a high vibration and we're just attracting the people we want in our life. We're attracting the money, et cetera, et cetera. But also, guys, you want to acknowledge what is working for you. We don't want this to be a humdrum bad me. There's no judgment here whatsoever, but we do want you to lift yourself up and go, wow, look at this. I've got a roof over my head and I'm in a nice, wonderful community. I did that. I attracted that. I created that. Give yourself credit where credit is due.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And every day too. Okay, so inquiring to your programs versus muscle testing. Let's back up a second. We all went over how you could do those muscle testings. And what I really want to reiterate here is do what feels comfortable to you. If doing the finger lock is good, or the rabbit hole is good, or if you like the body sway, as you heard, I love using the pendulum. But what is the purpose in using these external tools? Well, the purpose is for you to get acclimated to what it feels like, because we begin to feel the response or the answer deep within ourselves before it's visible on the outside. So when we're doing the muscle testing and we're looking for those programs, there's going to be an indication. You're going to be able to feel it. So in order to find those areas, we're only giving you a tool to make it easy, but also, you'll become more intuitive with the people that you're connecting with as well, right? So I know when Wendy worked with me with her I'm Agape, she was pulling information out. She wasn't muscle testing me, but if she was working with someone that says, or has never had anybody that was intuitive, say, well, how do you know that? Muscle testing allows your client to see that they are now physically giving you a response. So the reason that I'm telling you this is because everybody is on a different level when it comes to their awareness when working with the body, or the intuitiveness, or spirituality. And so if you've got a client that's already in doubt, hey, let's see what your body has to say, because now they're going to trust that mechanism a lot more than you just saying, oh, well, I can see. They're going to ask you, how do you see that? If they're new at it. So I just wanted to recap on that one, Wendy, the importance of why we were really kind of, going into this muscle testing program and how they can expand that out. You have anything you want to add to that?
I do actually. And so this one, guys, I think is a huge, huge program that we all carry. Now, you heard a while ago that Velvet said, within, it starts within, it starts within. And it does. We are trained and programmed since birth that, everything out here, basically, we have to adjust ourselves accordingly to fit into out here. Because out there is what molds and forms who we are as a personality or characteristics or whatnot. That is the biggest lie that we all decided to believe in. We actually, through our beliefs, our programmings, our conditioning, project outward, and we create the external environment with, like I create it with every single one that's here currently and everybody that's in this world. We all create it together. That's why you've heard the word co-creation. We create together. Now, our focus can be manipulated to therefore create a belief system. Therefore, we're projecting specific things onto the world. Yes, that happens all the time. But my point being here is because we've been programmed that out here forms us, what does that do? That's de-empowering us. It's making you feel like you're nothing, right? You're just a speck, and out there is way bigger and way stronger than you ever will be. And that was the biggest lie that has ever been given to humanity. And that is a program that starts, when you feel comfortable sitting down with it, figuring out those questions to ask and clearing those out. because the more you pull that, everything starts in here. Because why? You are a divine being. God's source runs right through. You have the power of will or focus to create anything and everything on this planet. There's where the power is. Velvet? Did I lose you, Velvet?
I'm sorry. I was typing a response to someone said, are we ever too old? Are we too old to learn this? I want to address that. No, you are never too old. You are never too old to learn, to share, to care. And to your point, wouldn't it be amazing that when we raised our children and they see a beautiful flower that we say, oh my gosh, you brought that into your reality. How beautiful is that? And allow them to build that muscle rather than saying, oh, well, you must be a bad person because this happened. How powerful would that be?
Yeah. So it's
I
all
just
about
wanted to add that.
deprogramming and reprogramming. So you're programming yourself with
Absolutely.
things that empower you. All right, moving on now. All right, so prior to muscle testing, okay, you're just going to go. These guys are, take a snapshot, take a screenshot, take a picture with your phone. These are so important. Make sure you are hydrated. And I'm going to have Velvet go into, if you like anything on that. Clear your space and all your ties. So last week I went over creating a double energy vortex around your body, one going in one direction. As soon as you got that going, get another one going in the opposite direction on the outside. That just sears all ties from people. Ties, baby, guys, are energy, thought forms. Anytime we have a think about something, we have immediately you can think about, if I'm sitting here on the couch watching TV and all of a sudden I think about Velvet. It's like I just took a spotlight and I put it right on Velvet. We have an instant connection and link. We're all connected all the time, but there's a more powerful connection. And the people whom we're close to, or we have emotional ties, whether negative or positive, that connection is stronger. Like you can think about a optic fiber cord that's going between us and them. And that sometimes can be draining. Well, actually, a lot of times it's draining. So
it can be, especially if they're going through something.
Yes, but true. And with that being said, guys, they always said, your brethren, what's that statement, Velvet? Your brethren, you're responsible for your brethren or something on the order. Guys, you're responsible for you.
Yeah.
Do not bend over backwards, kill yourself, deplete yourself for another person, because then when you're down and you're sick, you're not going to be able to help anybody else out. So God wants you to be flourished with empowerment and love and abundance of energy. And the only way you can do that is to focus on you first, not in a selfish way, but you're honoring the body that which God has provided us. You're honoring that whole process by taking care of you. And then you have a plethora of energy to help whomever you want to. So also,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, and to your point, we have to remember that in the scriptures that even the teacher, Jesus, said he had to go away. He had to go and meditate. He had to take care of himself in order to be able to continue to do what he was doing. So we all need to be doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And right here in the chat, Amy says, I was taught that it was selfish to focus on yourself, that it was all about God, and I am deprogramming. Most good. Woo! Hallelujah. Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, it is. So, but the thing is if if your body, as we've been told, the body is the house of God, and we've learned through even the past, you cannot separate your physical body from your emotional, from your mental, from your spiritual, from your soul, from God, right? When I turn on tap water, there's no way that tap water is not separate from the well that which it came from, or the water reservoir. It's the same water. Same thing with you. God's source is in you and you are God's source. Every aspect of you is God's source. The purpose of telling you that to focus on yourself is selfish is to de-empower
Manipulate you. Yep.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
If you're not powerful, then if you're powerful, then we can't control you. We can't get what we want out of you. So yes, it's all about empowerment and waking up to the truth of who you are.
Now, when you mentioned about the hydration, I just want to make a quick note on this because we've got an intense amount of energy. For those of you that have followed the Schumann resonance with Wendy and I, we have intensity like we've never experienced before. We've had it for a full 24 hours. Hydration is extremely key at this time because all of us are being upgraded. So even though you want to stay hydrated for your muscle testing, make sure, especially now, that you are super hydrated. Put some of that Celtic salt into the water too. Yeah,
Yeah, good call.
great info.
So what we mean by upgrade, guys, it's the human body is an amazing being. That's all I can say. It is capable of resonating, many different octaves. And we're the only being on the planet that can do that. But so with that being said, if we're normally vibrating, and I'm just using these numbers, guys, as an example. If we're normally vibrating at a 3.7, we can vibrate all the way to 5.8 or 9 or 10 or 6.1. But, our average is at a 3.7. And then all of a sudden we get a lot of high energy just constantly honking at us. It will take that 3.7 and it will start to vibrate us. So we are going to slough off any lower vibration that doesn't serve us. And that may come in RNA being sloughed off our body, therefore making it appear that we have a virus, which all it is a sloughing off of the RNA in the body. Or it could also bring up thoughts or emotions, make you also, you're crying, you don't know why you're crying, don't judge yourself, allow yourself to be. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, like Velvet said 2 days ago, I couldn't keep my head up, right? I had to be horizontal and just rest all day. Listen to your body. Don't have judgment about it. Let it, give it what it needs because we are vibrating up. So that's what she means by we're amping up into a higher vibration. When you're done, you're not going to be at 3.8 anymore. You're going to average at 4.1 or something. So that's what that's all about. So command to receive answers to your highest good, right? You are connecting in your consciousness, which is such a small, really tiny part, of who you are, of lower vibration. And you're tapping into your body, which all those wonderful cells are alive and full of light, and it's connected to your chakras and to the nadis and to your spiritual energies, light, soul, God. So it actually has more knowledge than even our consciousness does. So whenever you focus into where you want to receive your answers, like if I want, and I'm sure Velvet, you're gonna have something else to say about this and correct me, because guys, I learned muscle testing probably 30 years ago or more. And, I just kind of go by rote now. But, I check in, I just tap in with my body and I'm like, okay, body, what's the answer for this? Or I tap into a higher vibrational part of myself and, get answers from there. But I always make sure that I state, I want to receive all, answers that are to my highest good and that of unconditional love.
Absolutely.
So you want to breathe, clear your mind, clear out any emotions, take some deep breaths, remove distractions, close the door, put on some nice music, shut off your phone, leave it in the other room, in fact, and we're just saying this in the beginning until this is your brain has this by rote, by memory. And then you can go in the grocery store, no matter the distractions, and you're getting the right answers. It's just to give you this time to trust. And I'm going to let you take after this one, I'm going to let you take over, Velvet, to trust your internal compass of receiving your answers.
Yeah, it becomes a habit. It's a muscle. And once you know and you are centered in yourself, like Wendy says, you'll be able to do it anywhere. Whatever distraction is around you, it no longer affects you, right? There's a lot of distractions that are happening in the world right now. And many of us are anchoring that light because we've learned years and years and years ago how to tune out the distractions. Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah. So ask yes, no questions is the best thing for any type of diagnostic tools, just like that gentleman was like, okay, where are you at? Is this a muscle thing, or skeletal thing? Yes, that sort of thing. So make sure it's yes, no question. Don't force the answer. I think Velvet, you went ahead and says, you don't want to go or, be up here. To me, I was talking about don't force the answer because I have a tendency of like, I want that chocolate cake and I'll end up straining my muscles. You don't want to do that. Don't force your answer. Relax, let go. Again, it's part of that surrender, right? And allowing the finer energies to take over your being. The answer is not coming from your consciousness, but rather from your eternal self.
Absolutely. So we went over kind of a couple of these last week, the body sway, the rabbit hole, the finger part, and then the somatic, right? These were just ones that we briefly did. Hopefully you guys were able to practice some of them. We're going to talk about 2 other ones that you'll be able to do. And I'm going to share with you my favorite one, and I'll tell you a story on that. So keep practicing. So when we're looking, did you want to take this one, Wendy, or want me to? Okay, so when you're practicing these muscle testing, we're looking for the disempowering or the depowering program. And as Wendy had mentioned last week, I am worthy, we muscle test that to find out if that is true for us or not. So if I'm weak, it means no, you do not believe that you are worthy. Okay, so then you know that you've got some work to do. So you can go through this list to see what you believe about yourself. And if you get a no, it's a program that's running in the background that you do not believe this about yourself. Okay, so I really don't think we need to talk too much more about that unless, and we can take questions and answers later on that. But what we're really looking for is what is the program running regarding your money experience. So we did tapping last week, and we're going to recap that. And what I'd like, Wendy, I think this slide is amazing. I want you guys to look at this as I care about money. I'm meant to have money. Did any of you muscle test that to see I care about money? Was it weak? Was it strong? I'm meant to have money. Was it weak? Was it strong? Um, so we really want to do a special session with you today that's going to go all the way through so that the program is completely released. Just a show of a hands, how many of you money is evil? Did any of you test that? Does anybody believe that? All right. Did you get a yes that you believe money is evil? Yeah. So Jeanette is saying, yeah, I got that one. What are some of the other money things that you guys tested on? Let's see if we can get a consensus of one before we move into the next one. What were some of your money issues? You can unmute yourselves and speak it out. So, Tom, yeah.
I deserve to have money.
So you got that as a no, so you were weak in it, correct? So the belief then is that you don't believe that you deserve money. Okay, so you were weak on it. I think that's probably a big one. That was for you too, Jeanette, is that you deserve money, so you don't, right? So I don't deserve money. All right, so I'm going to write that one down. This is good. Would everybody like to do that one? Just give me a consensus on it to see if that's the one y'all want to do. I think it'll be good. Okay, good. Sure. All right. Awesome. So we're going to do it together. We're going to formulate this into a statement. And then we're going to measure that charge. And how we measured it before is from a 0 to 10. 10 being, hey, I'm really charged by this, and 0 is like you're not charged at all in it, but most of you are going to find that you're charged in it because you brought it up and you're already weak. And then we're going to tap it out together. Now, you can say these things that we're getting ready to do out loud, or you can do them silently. Now, I do so much tapping that I don't even have to tap on myself anymore to release something. I see it in my mind's eye and I make the statement, and then I'm able to clear it out. When we reevaluate, we're going to see if it's cleared and we're going to see what comes up. Now, what's important about this is remember when the man says we don't talk about the story. That is how we get locked in. It's the glue that keeps the story in part. We just want to hear the incident that may come up. There may not be an incident come up. Some of you may feel that, hey, one round, I don't feel anything on it. Typically, that's not going to happen, but it can happen if it doesn't belong to you. So what does that mean? It doesn't belong to you. It means it's somebody else's energy. It's somebody else's block that now you've taken in as your own. And as you continue to do tapping, you're going to kind of do like the bedroom sheet incident with me is, wait a minute, this isn't my thought. And you're going to be instantly be able to say, this is what I believe instead. And you're automatically reprogramming yourself right then and there. So we're going to tap it out. But before we tap it out, we'll go to the next slide so that you can kind of see how we're going to do this. So remember, it's a tap between the eyes. It's a tap beside the eye, and either one, it doesn't matter. It can be right or left. A tap underneath the eye, a tap on the clavicle. It can be both. It can be one or it can be the other. It does not matter. And then you're going to take a deep breath in while you're holding your wrist with your thumb on the top of your wrist. And when you blow that out, you're just simply going to state peace. All right. So I want to clarify something, because when we muscle test, we're looking for an affirmative statement that we don't believe in. But when we get ready to tap, we're wanting to tap this out. So the statement is, I don't deserve money. So let's all do it together. I don't deserve money. Let it go. It's okay to let it go. This is safe to let go. Just let it go. And then take a deep breath in. Peace. All right. So now when you're looking at that, I want you to write down on your paper, 0 to 10, write down, where are you in that field? I don't deserve money. Is this a big charge like a 10? Or is it a medium charge like at a 5? Or do you have a 2? And you can keep it to yourself. We'll talk about this in a minute. Right now, you might want to just follow along with the tapping. You don't have to say what I'm going to say. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tap into the collective consciousness of the group that is on the call. The group consciousness of the people on the call. So when I do the tapping, words are going to be formulated that are really going to come through. And I have to, and of course, I don't have this, I don't deserve money. Otherwise, that might not work for me or for you guys. So I'm a clear pathway to see what comes up as a collective. All right. So let's go. We're going to do the tapping. So I don't deserve money. I'm going to let this go. Man, why wouldn't I deserve money? I'm here on earth. I'm just going to let this go. I'm going to completely let this idea go that I don't deserve money. Why is it that everybody else deserves money and I don't? Well, it's safe for me to let that go, that I don't deserve money. I'm just going to let it go, because if they deserve money, I deserve money too. Take a deep breath in, blow it out. Peace. We got to keep going. I'm just as valuable as anybody else. And go to the side of the eye. I am just as important as everybody else on this planet. Go underneath the eye. Hey, I was created, so I know I'm worthy. I'm worthy of this life. I'm valuable to everyone. Underneath the clavicle bone or at the clavicle, I am deserving. I deserve this wonderful life. I'm enjoying this life. Look at all the beautiful things around me. Grab your wrists, breathe in, breathe out, and peace. Wow, I never thought that this idea, keep tapping, this idea, it doesn't serve me any longer. All of the beautiful things that I have in my reality, all of the beautiful friends and family that I have a loving family. My home is an example of all of the things that I value in my life, including me. Grab your wrist. Peace. Now tell me where you are on a scale to 0 to 10, write it down. And let me know if anybody is still extremely charged by it, or if you've gone down, or if you're not charged by it at all. Who would like to share? I am deserving and smiling. So I love this process because, like I was telling Wendy, when you get that clearing, this is where we laugh. This is where we're like, oh my gosh, I had that thought that I didn't deserve money. And I could tell by Palma's face that she's got that, right? Is that I can't believe I ever thought that about myself. So what you're doing is you're tapping that out, but you have the realization of like, oh no, I look at all the value that I have around me. Look at all the beauty that I have around me, and that I am deserving. So who would like to share their experience on that? You can unmute yourself if you'd like to share. Yes, Mom.
I just I went from a 9 down to a 1. So and actually I questioned the 1 when it hit.
Mm.
That was so amazing, and I love your new tapping. I've done tapping the other way for a long time, and so your new tapping way, I love it. I've used it all week long. There were so many things that came up for me to use it on. Wasn't really what I was going for, but that's what happened. So, but this is just so amazing, and it works so quickly, and it's just so beautiful. And I'm just
And
enjoying
all.
this piece right now.
Yes. That is great. And we want to hold that, have that space and hold it. And this is Robert Jean's Faster EFT. And when I discovered him, it was mind blowing. And I studied under Gary Gregg. I went through his whole course. I'm certified in EFT, and I put his stuff to the side in my practice and started using Robert's way of tapping. And my clients were clearing just like this, clearing just like this. They would walk out of the office just smiling and floating, you know. Some people are worried about doing that because they're afraid the client isn't going to come back. But guess what? They send people to you. You know, it's not about having repeat because people are injured. It's about, hey, send all your injured friends over, your program friends over, and let's get this cleared out. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like she says, just keep doing it. You know, when something comes up, and, you know, sometimes it's like, do I have anything to tap? Is there anything going on? And you just can't find it, right? You move into that place where it's so good. Let me just say this because I don't know if I made it clear last week. This is good for headaches. If you've got a headache, there's a reason that you have a headache. It's like the other doctor said, there's stress in your life. So when you're doing the headache, you know, I have a horrible headache. Let it go. I'm going to just let this go. It's safe for me to let it go. Just let it go and breathe in. Peace. Oh man, my husband sure is a headache sometimes. I don't even know. Yeah, we can all relate, right? He gets on my everlasting nerve. I'm going to let this go. And sometimes the clients are going to say that I'm so mad right now, just going to let it go. I'm going to let this go. This no longer serves me. Breathe in. Oh my gosh. I mean, you know, my left eye was hurting before I did this. So the left eye isn't hurting anymore. I was like, wait a minute, where's that pain? Right. So now we've got to finish it. You know, he can't get under my skin. I've allowed this, and I'm okay. He's okay. He was expressing himself. It's okay for me to express myself too. So I'm going to be at peace with this. Breathe in and peace. Wow, this feels so amazing. I just love my husband. I am so glad that he feels so confident in sharing his truth with me. And I'm going to continue to share my truth with him and breathe in and peace. And usually the client is overdone, right? It's done. So there's always a reason that you have an imbalance, a pain in your body. And try it out because you'll be surprised with what will come up sometimes. Yeah. Any questions? All right, so I guess we can go back, Wendy.
Okay. So yeah, while you guys were doing that, because that one was not a charge for me, but I was talking to Velvet earlier because I had sciatica pain that just visited overnight. And I found out that was mainly my mother's, and it was about, I didn't want to be here. And it went all the way down to the age of 5. And it was mainly gone, went away last night, but I didn't tap it out. Because, why do what we teach? That's it's kind of a common thing, unfortunately. But anyways, so talking to Velvet, and when you walked us through that, Velvet, I actually walked through the tapping, and I just felt this relief, right, of energy that just left my body. It was my mother's of not wanting to be here in human form, and due to an incident that I went through as a child at 5 years of age, and that was released, and I have no pain going down my leg at all. So important,
Beautiful.
guys, to use it for so many things.
Very versatile.
Okay, so with that, guys, we kind of recapped everything from last week. We went in a little bit deeper. Please do not keep your voice silent. You don't have to, open up your camera. You can just open up your mic or just put a question or raise your hand. But please, do you have any questions before we move on? It looks like we are going just to hit maybe just one more, yeah, we're going to hit a few more things before we end, but we're getting close just the same. So any questions? Well, we must be really good, Velvet.
Yeah, and we're doing pretty good at answering them too as we go through. But everybody's saying they're feeling good, right?
Good.
That's what this is about. They're feeling good. That's awesome.
Good. So we're doing our job right. I guess there, should be really clear. So then we'll just move on. But if you do have, sorry, somebody just requested something accidentally. If you do have a question, feel free to reach out to Velvet or to myself, once this is basically ended for today. All right, so now we're going to go into other forms of diagnostic testing, so you can regain your knowledge. Now, we talked about three different types last week, and majority of you said, yes, I want to learn more about it. So we're going to go into pendulum, and I'm going to let Velvet take this one.
So the pendulum is my greatest tool. I really do like this along with the body sway. And so this is my pendulum, and I'll tell you a story about this one. I was at a wellness expo and had come up to a table that was selling the pendulums. And this little beauty here went whoop, and we're just standing there. Nobody hit the table. And the person looked at me. She goes, oh my gosh, did you just see that? And I said, yes. What was that about? She goes, that's your pendulum. It wants to go home with you. And she has been so magnificent to me. I take very good care of her. I don't put her under a lot of stress by asking just everything and anything. I feel like their energy needs to be regrouped as well. So basically, I figure out what is my yes and what is my no. So I am simply holding it. The chain is right here. I'm simply holding the back end of the hoop with my thumb. And so that's not going to be moving the pendulum, right? So it's just very steady. You can already see some of the movement just by my arm. But now I'm going to ask her to please show me yes. She's going clockwise. Her yes is usually clockwise for me. Now I'm going to ask her no. And I don't know if you guys saw how quick that was, but because of this relationship that we have, it's very quick. Her no is back and forth. Her yes is clockwise. Okay. So when I want to ask a question to it, I always make sure that it is a yes or no answer. I'm not going to say, can I have a hamburger or chicken for dinner tonight? So when I had my really bad episode of acid reflux that just was not going away, I used my pendulum for everything that I put in my mouth. And I had gone to my holistic worker, and I was picking out a drink that I needed. And so I asked the pendulum, and I did this in front of everybody. I'm not shy to ask. And I said, do I need coffee? Now, she's not going to answer me right now because she knows I don't need either. But when it was coffee, it did a great clockwise. Well, we all know that coffee is acidic, right? So why would I need coffee? Then I said, well, do I just need water? And it said no. So the issue for my acid reflux, which gets misdiagnosed a lot, folks, because they think because you've got acid reflux, it means because you've got too much acid. I didn't have enough acid. So the pendulum was always saying, drink grapefruit juice, drink coffee. Don't drink tea, though. It didn't like the tea. It wanted coffee, grapefruit juice, things that I would have, well, lemon water, didn't want me drinking lemon water. And I kid you not, that acid reflux began to dissipate every single day. I could begin to eat. I mean, I lost like 50 pounds. I wasn't able to eat. And so when I started using the pendulum of what was good for me, even though it was an acidic food, I ate it and I recovered. So this is how powerful it is. Now remember, I said she goes clockwise for me and back, and I'm moving her right now, and back and forth for me with answering. So if you get a pendulum and develop that connection with it, you're going to ask, please show me yes. And thank you. Please show me no. Now, there's another benefit to that. Is let's say that you are a little hydrated or a little dehydrated, or that you're off on your polarity for a little bit. Your pendulum's going to match it. That's what I love about the pendulum, because I've said, show me yes and show me no. So it's going to give me the answer that I'm looking for, even if it might be backwards for that day. And it, again, it has always been perfect for me. But if you find out that it's not, then check your polarity, check your hydration. But I stay very hydrated anyway. So that's not really an issue that I'm going to have. Typically before you start doing any muscle testing, it's good to drink a full glass of water before you start anything. And like Wendy had said earlier, clear your space. Now, when you get really, really good at it and you develop that relationship, you'll be able to go into the store with your pendulum and it will speak with you, right? If you need that. But again, it's learning the connection of like, oh, I already knew that in my body before the pendulum did that. So you're learning how to communicate on a better way. All right. So, you have the medical practitioners. I don't know if a lot of you know that there are still medical practitioners that will still use some kind of muscle testing or even a pendulum to get down to the core of what they need. Right. So it's becoming more mainstream on it. All right. So do you have anything to add to that, Wendy, or want to
Yeah,
make a
sure.
comment on something I might have said?
So as you can see, yes, I have mine too. In fact, we have a couple around the house. Love collecting them. And, do you need to spend lots of money? No, I would literally let your spirit tell you exactly, what you need. A lot of health food stores. Let's see, we've got, I don't know if Whole Foods carries it. I know Sprouts does not. Lassen's, but I don't think you guys have that because that's been just a California thing. But there's a lot of spirits places or even online. But I suggest you do, if you're going to go for a crystal, especially, see if you can pick that up in person. If it's just, a piece of metal or gold, like what is shown in the picture, then of course, yes, you can go ahead and, order that as is. Clearing it with salt. Salt always neutralizes everything. That's important. Now, some of you might say, yeah, but when you're holding that, of course, you've got fine movements in your arm. That's what's moving it. And I understand that. I'm a scientific person. I've been there, done that. But you've got to remember, your body is made up of what? It's nothing but vibrations that are so dense close together that creates this, what we think is a physical solid form. But the energy doesn't stop at the edge of my skin. We know that energy extends beyond our body, extends beyond our skin. And that's what we call the field. And so this is picking up fine vibrations that are in your field that's connected to your body, every cell, every light in your cell. It's part of you, going back to that same story, that's part of your higher self, spirit, soul, God, the whole 9 yards. We're just getting our consciousness out of the way so we get some answers. And as Velvet kind of alluded, pendulums have been used since ancient times for divination, locating things or simply seeking the answers to a question. Back in the day, those pendulums have basically been made from crystal or a gold ring hanging from a silk cord. I think I mentioned last week that I even, in my teens, I even took a pencil, stuck just a sewing needle in it with some thread, and I hung that because lead, right? It's another metal, and it will basically pick up the subtle vibrations. I mean, that's kind of archaic, but nevertheless, it does work just the same. Okay.
That's right.
All right, so let's move on. So a pendulum, as you can tell, myself and Velvet are very, very, very familiar with that. Dowsing is something a little bit different. I've used it a couple times in the past. My eldest daughter uses it a lot. I really don't. But, you know, the origins of dowsing trace back as far as the Greeks in the mid-5th century. I'm going to butcher this name. Herodotus reported to use of the wooden or the Y-shaped fork that you see in the middle for finding water. By the 16th century, George, a German mineralogist and writer, recorded dowsing rods being used to find metal ore deposits, and he writes this in his particular book. So that is very, very common. The actual piece of wood, absolutely. As you can see, there's copper on both sides, people holding that. And guess what, guys? I made some this morning. It took me, oh gosh, not even probably 2 minutes, if that, probably a minute. All I did is I took a wire hanger, I cut it accordingly, I put 2 straws through, and then I put a loop so those straws basically will stay there. And all you do really, this is going to go crazy. It looks like, it reminds me of an antennae. So basically you're just going to hold on to the straws like so, and you're going to make sure that that top wire is level, you know, right? So you're not leaning down, because otherwise you will have a not so correct answer. And you're just going to wait till it gets into a proper spot. And then you're going to ask, you know, okay, what's, you know, my name is Wendy Morgan, and they'll come together. My name is Joe DiMaggio, and they come apart. You got to practice with it. I'm not really, and that's just it. You know, just now I will admit, and not admit, I will share with you, I was tilting it forward and tilting it back for demonstration purposes, because I'm not connected. My body doesn't know this tool. I have not used this tool. So anything, any tool that you use, muscle testing, the pendulum, dowsing rod, is just like riding a bike. You have to get on it every day. You have to practice it. You have to get familiar with it. You have to start trusting yourself. You got to remember, even if you imagine it, that's still information coming down from the divine. Everything's coming down from the divine, but you just got to get past yourself and trust yourself in using these tools.
Yeah. And when it comes to the dowsing rods, a lot of people like them because they are neutral. They're holding the area. And so they feel like they get a better reading because there's no influence at all, because you're just holding the casing. You know, you did it so that you could speed up the demonstration of it, but a lot of people like the dowsing rods. And I'll tell you something that's very interesting with the dowsing rods is that you can also measure your wingspan. All of us have a wingspan. And what that means is your auric field that comes out that looks like the angelic wings. We did this with a group of people. And what it is that when it goes out, it shows you how big your energetic field is. It is super amazing. Do it, you know, do it for fun. Have some girlfriends over and say, let's go check your wingspan.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, and the more you guys practice, the more you trust your body, the more you will start to feel even fine vibrations in your hands. And you might not even have to use any of these tools, but it all comes down to practice, 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 getting to know you, getting empowerment with yourself, and trusting your information. All right. So with that, guys, we're going to go into emotional triggers. So emotional triggers are your body's natural diagnostic tool. Yes, it is. And I'll tell you exactly, and it'll tell you exactly what you are holding in your cellular body and what you are broadcasting out. So this particular picture I put in, so to basically emulate, you see the balloon in the sky? You can think about that as a higher vibration or fifth dimension, whatever term you want to use it. You know, something that's very high where you're completely blissful. And that weighted balloon, you know, you're really down here solid in the third dimensional, you know, carbon-based, physical experience. But what I really want to focus on is the weight at the bottom of the balloon. And I want you to imagine, instead of just one weight there, that actually the balloon has many tethers, many strings that's going to many different weights, thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of weights. And that one tether going to that one weight may be, I am deserving of money. I'm not deserving of money, right? And that was tethering you to stay down that lower vibration. But today you moved it, right? It's like we clipped that string, so you no longer have that tether to that specific weight to keep you in the low vibration. So the more you work on yourself, the more you're cutting those tethers, the more weights you're letting go. Guess what that balloon's going to do? It's going to rise higher and higher and higher. And just to let you know, guys, as you move up higher into higher vibration, nothing really will bring you down and keep you down in a lower vibration for them, unless you basically make an effort to do so. It won't. You might come down, dip down, because we still have some lower vibrations to clear up with tethers, but nevertheless, you're going to be up here. And sometimes even just for a good cry, you might break some tethers off too. There's many different analogies that your body moves through. So you're currently shackled to your reactions. And what we want to do is, remove those. So what exactly do I mean by, you want to unshackle yourself from your reactions? I'll give you a good example. And some of you who've been following me, you've heard this before. When 2020 first happened, I'm in the medical field, and I don't mean to, please accept what I'm going to say as this is my experience. I'm not challenging your beliefs or your thoughts or your experiences. But in 2020, when we were, not mandated, but lack of better words, mandated to wear a mask, I was PO'd. Masks don't do anything. It's not going to do anything from what, from this C virus that's going down. It's too small. I could go on and on. I was pissed that somebody is just invading my space, right? In truth, I was giving my power away. Go through that later. But invading my space and tell me what I have to do. And I was pissed. I didn't like the thought that somebody was overriding my sovereign right to do what I felt was right by me. And I was just fuming inside. Now, if I wasn't focusing on that topic, I'm a happy person, right? Remember I talked about that runway? That money plane is not going to land unless everything's cleared out. I was good over here, but as soon as I thought about masking, my vibration completely went down. So anyways, I went, my daughter and we went to the gym. Now I'm vibrating that anger, that angst of somebody's trying to overtake and control me, and just, that whole vibration, right? That's in me. I'm also the energy's broadcasting out. This is God's tool to basically, when you broadcast something out, you're going to track somebody of like energy, and it's their job to show up in your face and say, be playing out your vibration. So therefore you can go, oh, that's what I'm holding. So it's not about the person might be arguing with you or whatnot. It's actually what's going on inside you. So anyways, we went to the gym. I went to park in a parking space. I parked. I would own it. I parked wrong. I came in from the wrong side and went all the way through, but somebody wanted to come into that space, but I kind of shocked him that I was there. So that part I was wrong. And I said, no big deal, I'll move, I'm so sorry to startle you, but he parked right in front of me and he would not move. And you could feel the anger and the angst and you could see the look in his eye. He was just pissed off because, I did this, and I'm like, and I'm getting flustered, and I don't like confrontation. And, I was going through all those emotions. And then after, we just got out of the car, we went to the gym, and then we came back in, and I was wondering, why did I attract that? Right there, I'm taking responsibility for that man showing up and making me, and quote unquote, making me feel that way. He wasn't making me feel that way. He was bringing forth what was already vibrating inside me. And I said, why did I attract that? And I realized, because I just got through thinking, and I was holding for quite some time that somebody has power over me. And here he was doing the exact same thing in a physical form. So those things you need to work with your muscle testing and your tapping out or clearing or whatever type of diagnostic tool and clearing you use. You need to clear out these emotional triggers by asking the question, just like Velvet went through, what's the charge of this? Is this mine? Is it owned by my mother? Is it owned by my father? What age? And I'm not saying you have to do all of that, but sometimes you do want to go down, get a little more clarity, but then you basically remove the shackles, and guess what? No one will basically be cutting me off again because that energy is gone. So, I can't, hang on a minute. My bar's in the way. Okay, it's not yet. So basically, the more that you remove these shackles, you begin to have freedom of choice, freedom of creation, and you're no longer in reaction mode. No, you're no longer in, yeah, is that right? Yeah. Yeah, reaction mode. You're now in response mode. That means you're consciously choosing, how am I going to come forth with this particular experience? Anything to share there, Velvet?
Yeah, because I really like that you shared that with us, because I think many of us have experienced the same thing. And many of you know that Dr. Judy Makovitz is on my team. We just signed her up. Well, she took that information and she wrote a book called Masks Don't Work. So whereas Wendy was very triggered emotionally and was reacting, right, and brought that other experience to her, just because we have this information, it's like, wait a minute, I don't agree with the mask. The response can always be a positive thing too, by educating people, educating ourselves. So the difference when it comes to what's shackling us is how we respond and how we're reacting. So if we're triggered, there's some kind of other link to it. But if we take that information and now use it to the good, then it's empowering. So you can see by Wendy's example how one disempowered and how another can be very powerful. All right. So we're all going to be triggered, right? There's lots of things out there to trigger us, but how we deal with it is whether we're going to disempower ourselves or empower ourselves. If that makes sense.
Thank you. Yeah, so remember, your emotional triggers are your body saying, hey, this is something you need to work on, versus us sitting there and going, okay, so I hurt. So, how much, okay, so my pain, is it caused by, right? Instead, that's a physical trigger that what you're focusing on. This is an emotional trigger. And that really kind of gives you a nice focal point as to what you're holding. So let's put this emotional triggers, let's put those emotional triggers in check by tapping or the Amagape. We will be going with the Amagape next time, at least just the brief highlights. We're not going to do it today because we really just don't have the time. But as we just got through telling you, basically work on these things via finding your diagnostic tool that you like the best, work on all of them, see what you really react with best, and then use the tapping method for now to clear them out. Now, let me go ahead and stop share because I don't really want to go into the Amagape here, but I do want to fast forward to our bonus information. Let's see here.
And while you're looking for that, Jen G makes a comment in that she has strong reactions to things, and that somebody is that shungite. I think that's what where's Jen? Yeah, there she is. And it broke just sitting in my open hand. Jen, I've experienced that too, where somebody had put stellite, I believe it was, and it cracked. It literally cracked. That usually is an indication of a huge release that's coming through that can crack it, or strong communication. But I absolutely, and here's the thing, Jen, I thought I was the only one that saw the light come through and the heart crystal break, but everybody around me saw this lightning like it came flying out of my hand. So Jen, I would recommend that you harness some of that kind of power and energy you have and really learn how to direct that energy, because that's amazing stuff. It means you're very powerful. We're all very powerful.
Dang it, it won't let me do it. Okay, I'm just going to zip through. I've tried 3 times to do this. Okay, so we're going to jump into our bonus topic because we want to close it up. It looks like an hour and a half is where we're going to go. And this is something that spoke to me loud and clear from spirit, that we needed to get this information to you as we just head into the new year. And what I mean by the new year is, honestly, this April 1st is the beginning of the year. That was established since the beginning of time. A Roman Catholic Pope went ahead and changed it for his convenience. And that's what we're currently on the Gregorian calendar now, and that's where that started. So the new year just started on April 1st, and dear Lord, things are going to be changing, people. So what we're teaching you today, it's all up to you. It's all up to you to acknowledge your programs, to acknowledge your blockades, to acknowledge what is vibrating inside your being, following it down to the point of origin and clearing it out via tapping. It's all process. And I think next week we'll also give you different ways to clear it out other than tapping as well. But nevertheless, you've got to do the work. You don't want to wait.
Loser.
Yes.
Can you not hear me? Can you hear me?
You froze.
Oh, interesting. Okay, am I back now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So basically, you know, we've hit the first of the year, and so things are going to be changing significantly, and it is all up to you to clear out your programs, to clear out your beliefs of the lower vibrations that are not yours or not yours, and to use the tapping method to clear it out. I'll also up a few other quick ways to do it, not as deep as tapping. We'll do that next week. But we're all growing, we're all changing, we're all evolving. So here we're, like I said, the beginning of the year, and there's so much change that we're really being challenged to release the control, or at least of what we thought our world is going to actually look like. We need to let go of that. Again, what you're seeing before you, including your bank account, guys, that is a past you. That is a past vibrational you. What do I mean by that? Because of your thought forms, your focus, and everything else that has gone out repetitively, you know, from a year ago, that is now showing up now in your checking account. So that's your past that you're looking at. That's why we always say, don't look at your checking account to get reflection of what you're doing now. No, that's why we mentioned earlier, you know, write a check to yourself for, you know, $500,000, whatever. That's a future you that you're going for. But what you're looking at is a past you. And we also have a projection of what we think is going to happen, or what we think how the world's going to turn out. And we got to let that go. We've got to sit back and just relax. We're all, what we are all being challenged with is, where are you not waking up to? Now, taking this course, you're working on waking up, right? And I just mean waking up in general, guys. I mean, waking up to new information, waking up to new tools, waking up to new thought form, waking up to new perspective. There's many different things, and we're going to be constantly evolving and moving through that little path. Where are you still holding your ego? Where are you still giving your power away? That's a big one right there. Giving your power away, that's where fear and anxiety comes in, because you feel like people are taking your power away. Just like I did with masking and that gentleman just blocking me off, etc. Right? I felt like my power was being taken away because I gave it away. At the same time, we were trying to change everything. So that in itself, you know, trying to deal with, you know, the power, and people tell me how to feel and how to think, and I'm trying to change what I can. That can be extremely overwhelming. And so remember what I have here is, remember I spoke about vibrations of emotions. We didn't go through that, unfortunately, this time, but all emotions have vibrations, and we want to keep those vibrations high. Any thoughts there, Velvet?
No, I think those are all really good. And this is perfect timing. You're absolutely right. It's perfect timing. And you know, judgment, you've got to get it out, right? You be gentle with yourself when you're doing these. So are you listening to your divine compass? Because we are all being forced internally, right? We're looking within to release control of what things should look like. That's what I was saying just a minute ago. Be gentle on yourself. Be kind to yourself. No one knows what this ascension will bring or how it will unfold. A lot of things are going to start changing. They already are starting to change. We're seeing it in our skies. We're seeing it in people. We're seeing it in our animals big time. A lot of things are going to start changing, but it's starting now, and it will be continuing. You know what, folks? I mean, really, truthfully, ascension is a never-ending process. Once you get to one level, there's going to be another level. There is no end to this game, right? A lot of people think that there is, but there is no end, because life is continuous. So no one knows how this is going to turn out, because we've never lived this time before. But the other thing is that we don't know where you are, how you're perceiving things. So Wendy may perceive it in a different way than I do. but it's all still good. Like she said earlier, we're co-creating. We all are having an ego death, and sometimes it can feel very sad and very painful. But this allows the collective to rise up in consciousness. So it's everyone's job to go through this and go within, but that's why we're all here for each other. You guys are on this call for a reason, to raise your vibration. But like I say, when you have a higher vibration, you can walk anywhere and you can shift other people's vibrations, right? If they're triggered by it, means say, hey, wake up. There's something inside of you that needs to be cleared. There's something inside of them, you know? So when people get triggered by you and you're standing there wondering what in the world just happened, give praise for it, because they're on their ascension process. That's what
Yeah.
I can say.
Absolutely. So guys, you got to remember that you are vibrating hypothetically here. And there's some people are up here, and it's not like game. It's not like who's higher is better. No, because it's an individual path. But if you're vibrating here and you're like, oh my gosh, the world is wonderful. I mean, everything's great. Life is going fantastic. You're thriving with your business. And then all of a sudden another person, John Smith, comes in and goes, oh my gosh, you know, and just blast all out this negativity and the negative things that are going on in the world. And you're like, what the heck are you talking about? You know, I don't see that. One, we're going only to see the level of vibration at which we are currently residing at. We're not really going to attract nor see a lower vibration that we've already moved out of. So remember that every person's going to see life differently. And that's beautiful, because you're on your own path. You need to see yours. You don't need to see John Smith's. But John Smith might come to you very, very just intensely and say, but you need to listen to this and you need to understand this. People who are not in their center, who are not grounded, who are not in alignment, need to have more energy, your energy, to be feeding them, to basically saying, oh yeah, you're right, John. I understand that. And no offense to anybody who's named John, just using it as a generic name. But, oh, you know, he wants you to say, oh yes, John, you're right. That's amazing. Oh my God, that's horrific. Yeah, da, da, da. And he goes, because in essence, by you listening to him or her, listening to them and, you know, agreeing with them or getting involved or enveloping your energy into them, you are validating their position. They don't want to move. They don't want to grow. It doesn't feel comfortable to move up. I mean, where does it ever feel comfortable to grow? No, humans do not like challenges or don't like growth. We love to sit there like a couch potato. A lot of us do. So he doesn't want to grow. And so instead of feeling your energy of like, no, come up, I need you to grow, he needs you to agree to him, to validate him. Be careful what you listen to, what you focus on, what you watch. If you don't feel good doing it, that's your soul giving you indication to that emotional triggering, right? This is not the right place for you to be. Shut it off. Find something that makes you feel good, that you're in alignment, that you are in a high vibration of joy and love.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's all up to you guys. If you are in fear or if you're in anxiety, it's because you're letting all these external factors influence you. Be careful with what you're absorbing and focus on, just like I said, through the internet, the TV, social media, whatever it may be, even music. My daughter, she's a writer, so she really picks up many different genres of music to try to inspire her to write. And one time she put on this one song and I'm like, I understand the lyrics are great. And that's what you're attracted to. But listen and feel out that energy. And she goes, oh, right? She could feel it was really low vibration. She goes, okay, that's coming off my list. So again, don't look at things or feel things at surface value. Allow yourself to really pay attention to you and how you're feeling and reacting. There's so much going on right now that is real and that isn't real. And that kind of goes into the John Smith story. To him, something's real for him. To you, that's not real, because your experience is someplace else in a higher vibration. If you're watching all of this and you're actually confused, not surprising, it's because you don't know who to believe or what to believe. Yet, if you go inward, if you go in and connect to your divinity, your spiritual level, it won't matter what people are saying outside of you externally, because you know what the truth is. You know through your divine alignment, and you will gain a tool from the divine, and it's called discernment. So discernment is basically because outside of this whole entire experience, at which we call third dimension or physicality or human experience, you know, we are vibrational beings having this physical experience. And so if you rise into that, obviously the divine God will basically say, no, this is our path. This is where we want to go. No, we don't need to listen to that. No, that's not real. You will be at a different level altogether. Velvet?
No, you summed that up really good. And you help them, I think, by giving them this information, you're allowing them to appreciate how they're feeling and not beat themselves up about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is divine timing. Just like I said earlier, folks, you guys are here for a reason. We're here for a reason. And we appreciate every single one of you here on this call. Absolutely. And those of you that are watching the recording. So be strong. When you understand that God is never late, you are in, what is that?
You wait differently.
There was a pop-up block that came
Oh.
up and I was like, wait a minute, what happened? Yeah, so you wait differently, right? You do. I mean, this is no joke about that. So be strong,
Yeah.
every one of you.
Yeah, if you just sit back, guys, and you just watch the show and everything's coming to you to show you what you're holding to clear out, or coming to you like, oh my gosh, I just created that, you know, through God. Oh my gosh, this person just showed up and they're going to want to join my business. Oh my gosh, I just met a new person and they're going to be a really great friend. It's amazing if you just sit back and watch versus let go of that control, like we talked about, and just allow God to work through you and just know, you know, you're waiting differently, right? You're just what shows up. And I can really appreciate what shows up. It's really amazing. It's a wonderful walk. So with that, guys, thank you so much. This was the continuation of Module 1. Thank you for participating in our particular courses. Remember that you're not here to bring in the light into this world. You are here to expand your own personal light, or others might call it Christ consciousness. And Velvet, I remember you shared with me about the Schumann resonance, what, about 3 days ago? No more than that. It was like 4 days when it had a lot of activity, and it had a
Had a
cross.
cross in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the raising of the Christ consciousness, the balance of the consciousness, right? So beautiful. Absolutely. And to see that on the graph, and nobody caught it. I'm like, I was the only one who caught it and brought it to their awareness. I was like, I can't believe nobody did this. But I was glad. Next time I'm gonna make sure I put my name on it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know what we're talking about. So the Schumann resonance is basically, I don't think I know you probably have yeah, because you shared it with me. But basically, guys, I'll just show you a miniature picture. This is the Schumann resonance. And basically, it's just a measure of energy that's currently in our world, off to this side anyway. This is what was, this is what is now. So things are kind of lightening up. But over here on this side, there was actually a line coming down and a line going across, and it was across, and Velvet shared with me, and I'm like, holy cow. All right, guys.
Yeah.
So get out there, practice, 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 practice with different diagnostic tools, practice with your tapping. Next time we'll go into other different type of clearing methods, including just a very fine, I'm not going to go into the Amagapi because that's a class in itself, but I'll kind of touch the brief spots. We'll also go into different clearing statements, but clear your runway, because again, it's not just about money. It's not about those stories that are in your head. It's just about clearing the runway of lower vibrations so you can rise up and lift up and fly like the plane. If you'd like to donate, here is my Venmo information. And if you do want this particular recording in your own library, so you have this link at all times, then definitely just Venmo me, and again, small donation is fine. And then I'll just give you that particular link and it's yours forever. And definitely this will be allowed as a free recording until about 3 o'clock tomorrow, Pacific time. And that's about it. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions or comments? Please unmute yourself.
Was a question in the box and I forget who asked it. She was stating that, how do you remove bias when testing yourself? Because it's easier for her to test someone else. So do you want to help them with that one, Wendy? I mean, I can too, but
yeah, I think we both should, because we both have our own experiences. And I think Jen was the one that asked that. Very valid, Jen. Oh my dear Lord, is that one valid? I know that I can muscle test for everybody else. And if I am emotional, if I'm in, this is some things that Velvet went over earlier. If I'm in a lot of pain, if I'm angst, any strong emotion, I will not get a strong, I will not get a correct muscle test. I will not even get a strong pendulum, because my energy is so intense with that emotion or that physical pain. I just won't, because that energy is affecting this. It's affecting our muscle testing. And yes, therefore, I have to sometimes go to somebody else to muscle test for me, number one. But two, it's also because you are really infused, engulfed in whatever that emotion is. So I say, all right, you've got a lot of momentum there of that energy that's built up with that emotion or that physicality of what's going on. Stop that locomotive by go take a nap, go take a salt bath, go take a walk in the woods, lay down on the grass, go earthing, ground yourself, do something, anything different to shift your energy so you stop that locomotive and you get a new sense of, you get like a fresh slate of energy. Once you're there, make sure you don't go back into that story. Oh my gosh, but I'm hurting. Oh my gosh, but I remember, so-and-so just yelled at me. Don't go into the story. That's a habit. That's a habitual looping of the hamster on the wheel, right? Of going back into those stories. So don't go there. Really discipline yourself not to be that hamster in the wheel. And so when you're in that clear space, also clear, I am worth it. I do love myself, because those two programs will get in the way of you getting a clear indication of anything. Because if you don't love yourself, you don't trust yourself, you don't think you're worth it, you don't have value, and the list can literally go on, then yeah, you're going to sabotage yourself through your muscle testing. So in that case, use somebody else, or again, stop that locomotive by doing anything different. Velvet?
Yeah, that's a great way to stop that bias. And usually we're biased because we want the pendulum to confirm what it is that we're desiring. And when it doesn't, we don't like it so much. So a lot of the biases is, I want this to be true and I want you to tell me it's okay and I don't have to do any more work. But if it comes up like that, just do the things that Wendy had said to break that cycle and see if it'll work, or just go see somebody else. There were, when my eye was injured, I had a dear friend who does this work, and I had her do the testing because I was biased. I wanted a particular income. Not income. I wanted a particular outcome, and I wanted it to be the way that I wanted it to be. So you just got to know what you want to know.
Yeah. Remember, guys, we are human and we like that little fairy dust magic wand. We just want it done. We want it done now. And especially if you're in pain or, you're dealing with an eye issue that, we do go in fear. Oh my gosh. I remember one time I was a massage therapist for years. And I remember I ended up injuring my hand. And the moment that I injured it, I wanted to throw up and I wanted to pass out. The injury wasn't bad. It was all the emotional ties that went with my hands. This is my livelihood. This is my everything. So yeah, you've got to really get out of your own way. And so in case when you can't, you find someone else who can help you.
That's why we're here. We're here to help each other. Yeah.
So any other questions, thoughts, or comments?
I think we're good in the chat.
Okay.
I just want to tell everybody thank you.
So let me end the recording.